Changes are on the way with our weather, as you may have heard, but certainly for the time being, it is kind of more of the same. We've had high pressure dominating for most of November, keeping things pretty dry, and that's how we go into Friday. But this weather front is starting to approach the northwest, and that will really mix things up, especially by the weekend. It will bring some rain into the far northwest. But as I say, if we rewind the clock and get through Thursday night, most places still dry. There's an old weather front sitting across the channel, bringing some drizzly conditions to the Channel Isles, maybe Cornwall, the Isles of Scilly for a time, but that tending to fizzle out. The cloud thick enough for some drizzly rain over the Isle of Man and at times southwest Scotland through the night. But most places dry, staying fairly cloudy over southwest Scotland, Northern Ireland, northwest England. That'll keep the temperatures up the cloud here, and the cloud likely to return to parts of central and eastern England, again keeping the temperatures up. But where we have holes in the cloud, parts of northeast England, certainly northeast Scotland, and especially southern parts of Wales and southern England, we are going to see some pockets of frost. Towns and cities may just hover above freezing, but rural spots could dip to 2 or 3, and particularly over parts of southwest England. Also, some thick fog patches are likely to form through the early hours. They will take a while to clear on Friday morning, but they should disappear. And once they've gone, much of southern England, South Wales, a good chunk of the Midlands, having a cracking day, dry, fine with sunny spells. The cloud tending to break up more over eastern England too. Some good spells of sunshine over eastern Scotland also, but further north and west it is going to be quite a cloudy day. Some drizzle here and there, especially over the Lake District, and then we see that weather front coming into the far northwest, bringing more rain here, and also some pretty gusty winds as that arrives. Now that is a cold front. It will eventually introduce colder air, but it's not with us yet, so again reasonably mild on Friday, temperatures around or a touch above average. A little cooler in the south compared to today, but of course with some sunshine, light winds, that'll feel fairly pleasant. Won't feel pleasant though, this band of rain sinks south, a narrow band of rain, so a short, sharp blast of potentially heavy rain accompanied by some really lively winds. The winds will suddenly gust up, and it's going to stay pretty lively in terms of the winds across the far north of Scotland. The Northern Isles getting very blustery through the early hours of Saturday morning. Further south, most places again staying dry, a mixture of clouds, some mist and fog, and where we keep the clearer skies in the south, again temperatures could dip in rural spots for the start of the weekend close to freezing. That zone of cloudier weather in central areas keeping the temperatures up, and the colder air further north will see temperatures dropping here, but the strength of the wind will actually stop temperatures from dropping too far. So for Saturday, we've got this line of rain kind of easing off as it sinks its way southwards, but nevertheless a spell of some rain, which we haven't seen much of recently, crossing northern England through into parts of Wales and the Midlands. Much of the south of England generally just dry and cloudy again on Saturday, and still mild here, but further north, to the north of this band of rain, that's the cold front, that's the colder air. So temperatures for many here sticking in single figures and feeling quite a bit colder in northern Scotland with the strength of the wind. And yes, just about make out some speckles of white there. The showers that are coming in here in that colder air will be falling as snow over the hills, certainly. Now that cold front will continue to track southwards. It's introducing the colder air as we go into Saturday, even across the south through Saturday night. And then, well, things get pretty complicated. Weather systems developing just to the west of the UK, bringing in the moisture, and it's how they interact with the colder air that's giving us the question marks about how much snow we see. A little bit more is possible, mostly on the Scottish hills on Sunday, but as we go into next week, we are more likely to see these weather systems tracking into parts of the south and the colder air spreading more bodily across the UK. So again, that does open the door to a little bit more in the way of winteriness in terms of the precipitation. Sleet and some hill snow is possible. Still 5 days away, so some uncertainty about details at this stage, but it's definitely one to watch. Keep up to date with the forecast over the next few days, and of course the best way to do that, if you're watching this on YouTube, just hit subscribe and then you don't miss a forecast.